Hello and welcome to another A24 Vibe discussion, everyone. Today we will be reviewing this past year's Best Picture winner, Anora, which was a Neon production, but written, edited, and directed by an A24 favorite filmmaker in Sean Baker. But first, as we always do on this podcast, we tell you what we're drinking, and I'll start out by asking our esteemed guest tonight what he's drinking, and that is Russian filmmaker Alexey Kotolevskiy. Alexey, what are you drinking tonight?
Hi, so today I'm drinking bourbon with apple juice. That's probably my favorite drink.
Very nice, bourbon with apple juice. Kevin, what are you drinking?
I'm also drinking whiskey, as normal, and I, like Alexey, like adding apple juice to my bourbon. Not tonight, because it's normally a fall drink for me, but I'm sticking with my rye whiskey, so I'm drinking a Castle and Key rye tonight, and it's quite delicious. It's got some notes of green apple, and it's just really refreshing for booze that's got like 53% alcohol.
Cole, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm continuing my Irish whiskey escapades, so I'm still cranking away at the 23 Queen Street rye whiskey. Very good. No apple juice though. I've never done apple juice with whiskey. I definitely need to try it.
You need to.
I
Listen to
love
us.
Apple juice and I love whiskey, but I've never put the two together, and I don't know why I haven't.
Trust Alexey and I. It's delicious.
I definitely will
try
do that. Yeah,
I'm back to Spotted Cow tonight, a Wisconsin beer.
A24 on the Rocks.
Before we delve into film discussion, Alexey, why don't you tell us a bit of your backstory and how you got into filmmaking?
I will, but first I have to apologize. You heard I'm Russian, so English not my native language. That's why sometimes it will be difficult to understand me, so please don't try to re-ask me something.
Okay.
So yeah, still studying.
Sure.
What's my background? So first of all my parents are teachers or artists or teachers of art. So like I have no choice to do something not creative. I was studying in Russia in a tiny city called Dubna. I was at first I was more as a graphic designer, and I'm still right now working as a graphic designer. But for me, it's always was like not enough. So at first I was trying to write the stories like books. But then I realized, actually I can draw that story, so I can make the comics. Technically, I can make my own films just by myself. They will be just without the animation. It will be drawing animation. And so I just, during my study and my life, I realized that I want more. I want to share the whole stories with people and only the way how I can see that. So the camera operator will be not enough. Script writer also, I don't know how people will do my script and how they will turn it into life. I realized that the creative director, that's the way what I need. So be the artist where all your team is like your brushes and paint. And I start making short movies at beginning like without the budget. I just start trying to find the creative way how I can make that without budget but looks nice. For example, you have no microphone, try to make it as a silent movie of 20s style. Something like that. You don't have a good camera, try to do like Blair Witch Project, like it was unpurposely filmed on VHS, and just add more glitches to make it look like VHS or something like that. But hopefully, year ago, finally I found the crew and a little budget, and I finally filmed my own like official, normal, real size short movie. And I'm trying to do more. So that's where I am right now.
Yep, and we will talk about and review Alexey's short film after we talk about Anora, and that short film is called One Night in Body Shop, which you can find right on YouTube. That's correct, right, Alexey?
Correct.
Yeah, awesome. So, let's get into Anora. A little backstory about this film. It made its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival on May 21st, 2024, and it immediately was loved by the critics, winning the Palme d'Or at Cannes, which is basically the Best Picture award at that festival. Shooting started in February of 2023, and the film was shot in Brighton Beach, Coney Island, and Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn. Many of the bars they shot in were bars that the producers actually frequented before. And our lead actress and Best Actress Academy Award winner, Mikey Madison, actually learned Russian for the film on top of learning how to pole dance and on top of studying the Brooklyn accent, because she's actually from California. If you hear what she sounds like in real life, it is completely different than what she sounds like in this film, which is pretty amazing. She also met with several sex workers to try to portray them as realistically as possible. And Sean Baker cast her in this film without an audition after seeing her in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So right off the bat here, Alexey, as a Russian person yourself, I wanted to ask you how you thought this film portrayed Russians and Russian Americans.
So actually, in general, I'm really glad of everything what I saw, because in general, for me, it's always like I'm always nervous when I watch something about Russians, but made by Americans, not because we can look bad or something. Mostly, it's just because they played by American actors. And they sound weird. I know Russian is difficult language, but mostly it feels like even there is no consultation there. So they speaking not like human beings. So yeah, that's why I was nervous. But then I was really glad. Even if the half of the people there, like who speak Russian, they connecting with mafia, gangsters and mob or something not really nice, we still can see that it's most of the people are pretty nice human beings. Like they're really nice people, just who have to do the dirty work or something. That's why I was glad. And I really was surprised about all the twists in story, because when I just watched the trailer, I expect that it will be like Cinderella's story. Like they love each other, but their parents sending the gangsters to find them, and they have to run through the Vegas because they don't need money, they need just love. So after 45 minutes, I was surprised that, we're going to that way. Okay, nice. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so on the whole, you thought it portrayed them well. Good. I guess, Cole, I mean, You live in Alaska. Do you get much, do you get a lot of communication with Russian people at all? Like, how do you think this film kind of portrayed the Russian and Russian American dichotomy?
We don't have a ton of Russian people up here. I will say there's one of my favorite restaurants in Fairbanks is like an Eastern European with like heavy Russian influence. So I love going there to eat, but we don't have a lot of them. I don't have a lot of interactions with them, but I did kind of like what Lexi was saying. I enjoyed the portrayal of all the characters. And I guess I've never thought about a bunch of Americans or portraying Russians and not being able to speak the language properly or anything like that. So I'm glad to hear that they did that proper here. And I also liked how they made all of like the goons in this film like real people who are reacting to just like ridiculous situations and have some emotion and some character that was pretty comedic and pretty funny, and made them see them again more like people versus just like we talked a lot about tropes in movies, and you have the Russian goon trope, and I think they did not fall into that category, which I appreciated. I thought that was a nice touch to this film.
Yeah. And I guess Sean Baker himself, he lived in New York. In the early 2000s, he would edit wedding videos for Russian Americans around New York City. He actually had a connection there.
That's cool.
Yeah. The film is pretty much split up into 3 acts here, and instead of going scene by scene, I wanted us to just kind of cover the 3 acts overall. In the first act, we obviously meet Anora. She calls herself Annie, and she is a stripper at a Brighton Beach strip club. And she slowly falls in love with the son of a Russian oligarch named Vanya Zakharov. After giving him her number, Annie, she also works as an escort. Vanya basically hires her as an escort, and then a tryst starts and ends in Annie quitting her job at the strip club, quitting escorting, and Annie and Vanya getting married in Las Vegas. Kevin, what did you think of this first act of the film?
I'm going to contest the point of slowly falling in love right off the bat.
Okay.
It is my view throughout the duration of this entire film that Annie/Anora has no change in her emotional state towards Vanya at all. From moment A to moment end, she is the same exact person when it relates to him as a person, meaning that every transaction she has with Ivan is monetary. It's about her surviving as a person. It has nothing to do with him on a personal level at all.
You think she didn't have any feelings for him whatsoever?
Zero. I'm talking 0.0.
Okay.
She discovered from the Wikipedia article that he was the son of the most wealthiest Russian on the planet. She looked at her situation living in a slum, we'll call it, with her sister who she hates, and all of those people in her life congratulating her for snagging that whale. That's the dream for everyone in that club. Everyone at HQ is looking for that one person, that whale, that get me out of this destitute spot where I don't have to share rent with my sister, where I don't have to fight with my coworkers. And she found that with him. And it made no difference it was a 21-year-old Russian or if it was an 87-year-old dying retiree, which we've seen 1,000 times in pop culture, where we get the Nicole Smiths marrying the people that have all of the money. This is the story that's being told. It's someone who has no other opportunity to get out of a destitute situation and latches her claws, and not in even a malicious way, in just it's obvious and there for me, why would I say no type of way. So yeah, to answer the question, no emotion whatsoever, totally financial throughout all of it, even through the weak commitment, all the way to the end, even fighting getting on that plane. It was all about financial stability and her ability to stay healthy and safe and no emotion at all. And I think that was the point of the film, at least from my perspective. So that's it.
Alexey, do you agree with that? Do you think that there was no real love there? Or?
Like, I have some thoughts to support Kevin. First of all, like I said, because I was expecting like Cinderella story, I was really glad in the first 45 minutes of the movie, because I like when I'm asking the movie the right questions. For example, I can't understand something and I ask him why that happened. And then later in the movie, I realized that, actually that's why. So they showed me that thing on purpose. So I was supposed to be confused. And in the beginning of the movie, I was confused because I thought, okay, at the beginning, it's a work for money. I was expecting that soon she will start feeling something to him, to do something for free. I don't know, something. So getting closer, maybe like his friend or something. So falling in love. But I realized that actually she's not falling in love with him. All she's worried is about the money, about the 15K instead of 10K for the week. And I ask myself why she want to marry him. Like, she don't love him. Like, so it's just because of the money. So yeah, she's not changing. It's her way out. And maybe she's not like evil person. Maybe I believe that she feel that Vanya feels something to her, and she just like Vanya's money. And so yeah, she just decided to, okay, that's my way out. So I think I agree.
Yeah, I think I disagree a little bit. I feel like there was feelings there. I don't know if you can call them she was in love with him, but I do think she had her guard up the whole time, because obviously she's very used to, it seems like she's probably escorted with rich men before, and they probably do make her a lot of promises and probably never follow through with them. She slowly tries to give Vanya more trust. She didn't fully trust him and was just being like, this is a transaction, until Vanya finally proposed to her. And then I think that changed everything for her. I think she actually believed that maybe this guy does care about me. Maybe I care about him. And we'll get into the second act, but I think there was a naivety to her that kind of showed that she did have feelings for him, because she constantly was saying, I'm his wife, and saying like, I'm a person too here. And she was trying to even defend Vanya the whole time he was lost, and she cared and like was worried where he was, I
guess for me, I agree all of those things, but at the end, I think she was only worried about where he was because she was concerned that her life was going to be worse off if he wasn't found, or if there was a problem with Vanya.
Actually, I think like almost what you said, that she, at least Vanya was one of the nicest her client. So, and yeah, when he proposed to her, maybe she just realized that it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So, of course, yeah, it's not the love. But probably she decided like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's fun. Why not? I believe is the fat, big, really like rich guy will propose her something the same. She will say no. She just decided he's the nicest from her clients.
Yeah, I think kind of similar, where I don't think she was ever really fell in love, and I don't think either of them fell in love, but I think she fell in love with the idea of him, and again, like if he's what she has to kind of deal with to get all access to all of the money and stuff like that, he is like not bad at all, right? And he's such a young kid, maybe she can mold him, and I think she kind of fell in love with the idea that she can, could see herself loving him. I don't think you can fall in love with a person within 2 weeks, regardless of anything. But I think, I think she did start to have feelings towards him and towards the idea of the life that they would build potentially. And that's why I think where she kind of saw that transition when he did propose and they did get married, and she started seeing this life and letting her guard down and like accepting the fact, and maybe this kid isn't so bad, and I could see myself being with him and spending this life with him, and eventually maybe potentially fall in love, or at least have a solid relationship enough. So
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
My 2 cents is that self-preservation has been her entire life. From start
That's
to
what
finish.
started
Totally,
it all the way.
but like I don't think she's emotionless though, is what I'm trying to say. Like
That's fair. I mean, probably. That's fair.
I don't think it was. I think it was transactionary, but obviously Vanya got something out of that transaction too. And then, but when he finally proposed to her, she was like, "Wait, maybe he is actually committed to me."
At the end of the day,
yeah.
it was a 1-week relationship. So no matter how committed he's been,
But
it's
she
been
didn't
1
think
week.
that until the very end. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I agree with you, but on any other general conversation about that relationship, it looks totally just.
I don't agree with the Anna Nicole Smith kind of thing though. I think she had a little more heart than that.
Okay, and that's why this movie is probably good, because it gives the interpretation that everybody who's watching it is going to appreciate it differently. To be completely honest with you, like if you appreciate it that way, and maybe it's my naivety, maybe it's my looking at the different. Like I love it. I think that's unique. I think that makes it better, personally.
I guess a big part of this first act too is she chooses to go by Annie instead of Anora. Yeah, Alexey, what did you think about that choice for her to go by Annie instead of Anora?
So I think that's thing is lead us to the ending. We're talking with the spoilers, right?
Yeah, we could talk spoilers. Yeah, we'll say what the ending means a little later, but you can talk about the ending briefly if you want.
I know we're going like act by act, but sometimes we'll just jump a little bit, but I will come back.
You can jump.
So so she's an immigrant in the 3rd generation, as I understood. So her grandmother was the first who come here, and the character of the actor Yura Borisov, who right now becoming like the cutest guy in Russia. We all love him and so glad that he did so great job. So the bald guy who was the nicest gangster there. I forgot his name. I think his name Igor.
Igor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's great.
He's awesome.
My favorite character in the whole freaking film.
He was nominated for an Oscar too. Yep.
So good. So good.
The actor was. Yeah.
So he probably is the immigrant in the 1st generation, and she ashamed of her own like past lives. That's why she didn't want to even associate with Russian people. And even from the beginning, she understands Russian, but she prefer not to speak. Even she can speak, but she prefer not to. So like she know who is she, but prefer to pretend it's like never happened. And she's Annie, not Anora. And she's not immigrant. And she hate to live in Brighton Beach. She want to move to somewhere where she's like closer to American life. And that's why we have that ending as also there's a lot of reason for the ending, but she and he, the Igor, realized that they have so much in common. They're actually not so different, even if she thought that she's different, even if she thought that she's not like, no, let's not call Russian, that she's not the immigrant anymore. So she feel that she have much more in common with that guy, instead of that rich people who she want to be together. That's why we have that ending. as I feel. So that's why Annie, not Anora.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think she does tell Vanya about her grandma, but she doesn't like going into details about her. And I think there might be some pain there. Like maybe the grandma actually raised her too. That's not completely revealed or anything. But I also thought maybe it could have been a comment on how her grandma might have called her Anora, and so when other people call her Anora, she doesn't like it because she doesn't like being called what her grandma used to call her because it reminds her of a time when life was a bit more innocent, you know?
Right, yeah, I feel like it's the same reason that she doesn't prefer to speak Russian. She prefers to speak English. She'll only speak Russian when it serves her, as far as introducing herself to the mother of her husband or having a conversation with the captor who's trying to, keep herself. So Russian is only used when she has to use it as opposed to her preference, which is definitely English. And I feel like the film subtly portrays that in a pretty cool way. And I think subtlety is a pretty defining feature of this film in general. Like, while there's a lot of things on the surface, like a lot of screaming, a lot of language, a lot of sex, a lot of all of that, the message of the film, the underlying things are what makes it good, makes it important, and they're very understated in general, which I think is pretty cool.
All right, well, let's get into the second act of this film when they finally get married, and it's the fallout from their marriage, where Vanya's family, who are obviously very wealthy Russian people, orders Vanya's Armenian godfather, Toros, to find Vanya and see if this marriage is real. After Toros finds Vanya and sees that this marriage was in fact a reality, Vanya and Annie, Vanya runs away from his rented Brooklyn mansion, knowing he is in deep, deep shit with his family, and knowing that this story will come out in the tabloids and will be a gigantic blunder. And the second act of this film is essentially Annie and the Armenian henchman, plus Igor is the one Russian in the equation here too, trying to hunt down Vanya. Cole, what did you think of the second act of this film? Like the kind of hunting down of Vanya where the action gets pitched up and it gets a lot more fast paced.
This was my favorite act. I really enjoyed kind of that turn when, the henchman kind of showed up and they had he just bails on her and she's left with them and she gives up a hell of a fight, and then they're all trying to look for him and traveling through the city as just like hijinks happens, like their car gets towed and he yanks it off the tow truck, and then it like quick cuts to them like what was the guy's name, the brother of Toros, he was I loved him.
I don't even know his name, but I like his acting job
where he got his nose broken.
We don't even know his name. Maybe
his name's Garnick.
That's
he was awesome. And he Igor gives him the pills and he just starts throwing up in the car, and then the next thing you know they're at a diner just like
don't take them all at once.
Igor's just pounding that cheeseburger. That was my favorite act. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was such it's like this movie is, I feel like I've seen it before but never done this way, right? Like you always you see the movies with, again, like the Russian mobsters or any type of mobster type movie, and the henchmen come in and they're like, trying to protect the family and we gotta keep them from being a disgrace. But then it has like these funny comedic timings and just like interactions, and I really, really like the second act a lot.
Kevin?
I think My Fair Lady, Pretty Woman, a lot of these tropes of taking a person out of the norm of the culture they're supposed to be in and
fish out of water
them.
Story.
Exactly, fish out of water. And that's what this film is, and it doesn't shy away from that, and it embraces that. And from a perspective of a well-done film, I mean, I'll talk about it in my review. It was like, it's a hard-to-watch film, but it's a well-done film. Meaning, like, it may not be everyone's cup of tea when you're watching it, but from an artistic standpoint, from a creative standpoint, from a thematic standpoint, it's a great film. And that's kind of a wild juxtaposition, but that's also where we are in 2025 when it comes to elevated filmmaking, because we've been doing films for 100 and whatever years, 150 years, right? I don't even know. That's,
I mean, over 100 years, I would say.
So, but my point is that we've been doing it for long. We have to come up with things that are subversive, different, and wild. And I think this film kind of fits that bill.
Yeah. A lot of people call this uncut gems paired with pretty woman. I think what I really like about the second act is when these henchmen do get to the house, you kind of expect them to maybe be extremely violent with Anora.
Yes.
And they aren't. Well, then you quickly realize that Vanya's parents are probably legitimate, like, business people that have a lot of money in Russia. And they do not want to, be violent or rough somebody up because they can just use their money to essentially annul this marriage, well, which ends up happening, obviously. These henchmen are basically just people that are in charge of keeping Vanya in check because he stands to inherit tons of money. Alexey, what did you think about the second act here of the film?
Yes, for sure. That was amazing. First of all, what I felt was all these characters are so alive. Like, I really believe anything what happened, because it looks like not like a movie which was scripted and directed. It looked like a theatrical performance with a lot of improvisation. When they're just moving, throwing things and screaming in Russian, and I finally can hear everything. And they're using so bad language, like they really swearing all the time, and a really creative way. So can we say the bad words in our podcast?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
please. Go ahead. Yep.
I'm sorry, I really like a lot of things in English language, but the bad words is so poor here. All you have is just fuck, shit, and something else. And usually just doing like different version of the word fuck. I was so amazed when Igor tied the hands of the Anora, and the guardian asked, like, why did you tie her up? And he tried to find the word in Russian, and he's like, она хуйнула в меня подсвечником, which means she fucking throw the candle, the golden candle thing in me. He tried to explain it in English, but he couldn't find the word. Хуйнула, it's so specific. It means she throws something, but fucking amazing way. It's a really specific word.
That's awesome.
You know, when you dropping something, it's that way. Хуйнула, it's
no, it's a different way. It's a throwing a menorah at the fucking glass. Yeah.
And that's why I really believed all of
That's
them.
awesome.
In the trailers, I also like ask myself why that guy was nominated for like Oscar. Like, okay, he looks nice, but actually through the trailer I can't see why. I don't see a lot of acting. It's not bad, just I can't see the opportunity for the Oscar. But during the movie I realized I believe that guy. Like, he's one of my friends or something from Russia. And I have some of that friends. We call them gopnik. Also, I couldn't find that word in English, but it means the guy with really bad taste who always wearing the sports wear. He don't have education. Probably he's bald because it's his favorite haircut.
We know that guy.
All they can do is just be, the lowest level in the gangster area. Gopnik, just that guy. And he's a gopnik with a golden heart. Amazing. Oh, and a tiny detail, which I loved so much. When the gardener, his nose was broken, and he trying to find something cold to put on his face, he found pelmeni in the freezer. It's a Russian dumplings. And actually, like, it's one of the stereotype which actually true. We love pelmeni, we love the dumplings, and any Russian have a pelmeni in the freezer. And technically, it's some kind of the student food. Because it's cheap, it's a dough, meat, and you have to just throw it in the boiling water, and that's what students eat usually. And it's so tiny detail that even a really rich guy still have that in the freezer.
That's cool as hell.
That's
I like
cool.
that.
I like that a lot. Yeah,
Yes.
and so Sean Baker, the director-writer, is known for just creating extremely realistic films. Another film he made was The Florida Project, which we actually reviewed on here. And yeah, that's what he's known for, being very, very realistic and being very detailed about the places where he decides to shoot too. Because Florida Project took place outside of Orlando, and this place, he's actually spent a lot of time around this area. Alexey, have you actually spent any time around like Brighton Beach or around there?
Yes, so if you notice, the place where I live right now doesn't look like place where I lived for a long time, because I had to move from New York to Chicago for the new work opportunities, but I'm planning to come back as soon as possible. That's why I'm like Spartanian style living right now. So yes, I've been in Brighton Beach, and I hate that place so much because it's so imagine all the stereotypes about Russians. They are there. And I call it the people who betrayed my own dream, who moved to United States not to be part of United States. They just, remove that neighborhood, like backyard in the Russian ghetto and put it in New York, and all what they want just stay there. They don't learn English. No, I don't like it. People who live there, mostly. Like, no offense to them, but I going there just to buy pelmeni. And that's all, actually. I going there to buy Russian food and immediately and going away. So it looks really realistic to me. A lot of strip clubs, people who can speak English, Russian gangsters. It's a Brighton Beach.
All right, so it sounds like Sean Baker got that down to a T for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was shot in many of the bars around there too. So
I think you talked about it, Eric, right? You might be asking the question, but we loved Florida Project and the details in Florida Project about what Florida felt like, about the community, the way that he put the detail into that. And it's very apparent in this film as well. Like, he takes the detail on what that community of maybe the Russian American strip clubs, not even the Russian American, but just American strip clubs in that area, and just the way that all of those communities interact. And it was very apparent to me that that same love and attention was paid to this film that was Florida Project. And we laud that film as, a top 10 A24 film.
You do.
I mean, you don't either? You don't enjoy
Top 10? No.
Top 10.
I gave it like a B, I think. I liked Florida Project, but I did not put it. I won't put it in my top 10.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, would you at least say it's on the upper tier of A24 compared to the lower tier?
Upper tier for sure.
Okay. All right. We're not talking about a Florida Project. My point is, I can see the comparisons. Is I guess my comment.
Yeah, definitely. And we will also, later in our A24 chronology, we'll be reviewing his film Red Rocket, which also. Same kind of critique of that film is that it's extremely realistic. So that's just the type of filmmaker he is, And the last act of this film really starts when Annie finds Vanya at her old strip club, getting a lap dance from a stripper that she hates. And we also really start to see that Igor, one of the henchmen for the Zakharov family, may have feelings for Annie. And there's a lot of emotional touch points that kind of start happening between them. But it all ends with Annie and Vanya getting their marriage annulled after Vanya's parents come in and, scare the shit out of him and make him back into the kind of immature little child. It was very hinted, I think, throughout the first act that he was extremely immature. But we now kind of see really when his parents come in who he really is, how he needs to fit into the idea of what his parents want him to be, and he is just trying to run away from it. And that might be kind of why the marriage happened in the first place. And basically, Vanya's parents, they use their money and power to threaten Annie to get an annulment. I want to refrain from talking about the very last scene here. Cole, what did you think of this third act here before the very ending of the movie?
I will say this act is one that kind of subverted my expectations. And I think this is where this film kind of succeeds more than others, where, again, I kind of went in this like Lexi, where I thought it was like a Cinderella story, like something was going to turn around and he was going to, tell his parents to stuff it. I'm going to, I love her and we're going to live happily ever after. Something was going to break or whatnot. But that's not how the real world works, right? And I guess I should have known after knowing Sean Baker's work that, he was going to stick to kind of the true life. And again, the second act was my favorite. The third act, I think, subverted my expectations the most. And I liked just how real it was and how, like, matter of fact, and, the whole entire time you're waiting for that kind of knight in shining armor moment or something to happen. But then you realize this, he is just a dumb kid that's trying to run from his responsibilities and just wants to have fun in America, and kind of used her. And she realizes that and you see that kind of defeatedness, but also her just getting pissed off. And the scene where Anora stands up to the son and the mother, and the father is just dying, laughing and loving every moment of it. I really like that scene. I thought that was a very good scene, well written and well acted. And again, everything just feels so real. Like, it feels like real people, feels like real scenarios, and it feels like something that is set in reality, but is, a very extreme version where you're talking about, people that have all the money in the world and an annulment and, like, marrying a stripper and all that stuff. That's not something that happens in, I guess, my life or people that I know of, but it does happen, right? So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Kevin, what did you think of this third act of the film before the very ending?
I thought that obviously when you get into a situation where you have action ramping up in any direction, your brain goes to where this is going to go. I think someone mentioned it earlier where we kind of thought there was going to be just some violence at some point in any corner. And I was waiting for that, right? The amount of sex that the first half had, I felt like there was going to be an exponential amount of violence based on that. Mm-hmm. And we really didn't actually get that, which was kind of interesting to me. Like, I am used to being teased by these art house films where it feels like a roller coaster, where the tension is built and built and built and built and built and built and built, and all of a sudden you just get this ridiculous release at the end. And while there was some of that in this film, at the end of the day, I really didn't even feel that much of it. I'll talk about this a little bit in my review, but the critique of this film for me is that there's slice of life, and then there's, I'm just going to put you in a reality of what actually happens, but I'm not giving you that much of a story. The story of this film is someone who doesn't have a lot of money, who is looking for an opportunity to make money, finds comfort in someone who has money, takes advantage of that opportunity because all she's known is poverty, and that money going back to what it inevitably does, which is the comfort zone of its parents or its, whatever it may be. Slice of life only goes so far for me. And this film felt awkward at points because it was so real life that I didn't feel a story, and it felt just like I was watching what really would happen when a Russian oligarch's son falls in love with a stripper, which is weird to complain about because that's what you want to see in cinema. But at the end of the day, if you were literally in a living room of a Russian oligarch's son and his stripper girlfriend, you'd go, "Oh, this is impossible to watch. I want to bash my head because I don't care."
She was no longer a stripper after he married her. So
you get my point. This movie did such a good job of moving the curtain away from me that I hated watching it because I felt like I was sitting on the couch watching these people have these interactions. So you could be so good that you don't want to watch it, and that's maybe just my preference. Yeah. And I'm rambling, but
I think that as movie watchers, we've all been kind of trained to have expect a sort of point A to point B, like normal character arc, normal plot arc, and everything. And we want things to be tied up in a neat little bow in the end. And I feel like in the last 10 years in movies, things have been changing actually a bit, where we don't always get the fairy tale ending, and a lot of character arcs don't always go the way we expect them to go. A lot of characters don't completely change from start to end, which I actually think the last scene does provide a little change in her character, but we'll get there. I guess, Alexey, what did you think about this third act of the film? And kind of touch on some of what Kevin said here, too.
First of all, mostly I agree with all you saying, so I trying to find something different. Yeah. First of all, I really like that the director and the scriptwriter found a way how to, at the almost before the end, put all the characters in one small space. So in a plane, where they all have to interact with each other.
That's a good point.
Because of that, thing that they can cancel that marriage only in Nevada, in Las Vegas. That's why we saw something which we thought never will happen. Like how they talking and in really close positions. But at the same time, I think there's a one minus which distracted me in that movie. Like I really, really liked it. But one thing I was a little disappointed about the character of the mother. So for me, she's a little bit like stereotyped villain here. Because like Kevin said, the father is much more interesting. He can laugh sometimes. He can even be impressed by the Annie. But she is like more like, look, you will have a lot of problems if you go. I will destroy all your family. Like it's like a James Bond villain who will have a Russian accent, of course. So not really deep. But at the same time, I felt that probably it's all showing that she's also some kind of the trophy wife. So probably she looked like she was really maybe poor before she met the father of the Vanya. And that's why she like most of the Russian women, if they holding something, they will never let it go. And even she feel that maybe they have some connection with Anora, and that's why she didn't want her to be in her family also. Because she recognized, the same like a panther who trying to get the rich man. Because she felt the same. Maybe she's the same. Like I like when we don't have a clear answers, but that's what I thought. Like maybe that's why they don't like each other, because technically they are the same. She just was more successful.
I like that. I like that interpretation.
I like that idea
a lot.
too. Like
exactly.
They don't say it outright, but I do like how you pick that up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the same what you felt about her relationship Anora with your grandmother. That maybe that's why she not allow people to use that name, because only grandmother used that. So I like when there is a background for sure, and we just have to guess, we have to feel, and we want to think. So which is great. So yeah, that's why third act I like all the other acts. Just the mother distract me a little.
Gotcha. And I think a big point of this act too is there was parts in there where I was like, Annie, just speak up. Like, you could possibly try to fight the family, but we're in the real world here where they will definitely be able to use their money and power to destroy any kind of fight that Annie can bring up. I think Annie is actually smart enough. Like she is loud at times, and she will, openly say things to act like she's going to put up a fight, but she knows in the back of her head that she will lose that fight because she does not have any of the money or the power in this situation. And I do think this film definitely comments on kind of class struggle. That's a big theme of this film too. Any other points we want to make on the third act? Or?
No, I mean it was rapid when it went to it, but it was probably the inevitable conclusion that we kind of saw coming.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's touch on the last scene here. After Vanya and Annie get their marriage annulled, one of the henchmen, Igor, is in charge of safely getting her back home, and we can tell, like, he's definitely started to feel something for her even throughout this whole third act. And she's obviously she will be given $10,000 the next day. And Annie acts out at Igor, kind of throws some homophobic slurs at him, and Igor takes her home the next day, and the whole film kind of slows down in this scene. And Igor then returns Annie's wedding ring, which he obviously stole from the Zakharov family. But Annie then starts to have sex with him. But when Igor tries to kiss her, she starts sobbing and falls into his arms. Cole, let's start with you. What did you think of the ending to this film?
I thought it was a really good ending. I thought it was, exactly, I guess, what I was hoping for when you realized the Cinderella wasn't happening, right? Like, this is real life, so this is kind of be the ending. And that whole interaction, like you said, it just, everything slowed down, and you kind of maybe saw into Anora's life a little bit more than we ever had seen. And, she obviously was a stripper and an escort, and, a lot of times no one wants to kiss the escort, right? It's always, I don't think they, it's always they just have sex with her.
Some people are worried about it for sure.
Yeah, they have, they have sex with her and throw her
Some do.
to the side, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But like the part where he's like trying to kiss her and shows that he's interested and cares and like definitely cares for her and, shows that emotional attachment. And I think that kind of like breaks her where, she was using her body as like a transaction, and it just like kind of like crushed her, where she realized, how much he does care about her, and he's just a dude that cares about her for who she is and wants to make sure that she's okay and do whatever he can for her. And I think that, finally broke that barrier down. And, that's where she just like lost it all. I mean, she had been through so much, and Igor had been a part of it, but had always tried to, give her the little comforts in all these weird, terrible situations. So I don't know. It was very good. I really liked that scene a lot.
I completely agree that the ending here is just kind of Anora, or Annie, has kind of put on an act this whole film, and she has this very tough exterior. You think of her just as a sex worker, but in this last scene, we can really see that this tough exterior really is just an act, and that she is actually just very vulnerable and sad from having to use her body and use sex for money. That's what I think this last scene kind of shows, is just, it's that act she puts on, just breaking down and her true self coming out, and how kind of sad she is about where she is in life and how she has to repeatedly just use her body and her sex for money. And it's a great comment on that, I think. I really love the point of view shots here too. I think the cinematography in this last scene is awesome. But Alexey, what did you think about this last scene and how they wrapped this film up?
So how I saw it, how I accepted that scene, and I agree that you point of that stages of what they trying to do. So I think that's what happened. So when she realized, remember how I said that actually they're not so different, and they have much more in common than with other people. They both immigrant, even if she's in the third generation, he's in the first generation. She trying to do something like to be like thankful, but that's sex. It's only one thing what she can do and what she did before. But he was really confused because actually it's not working. Then they tried to another level. He tried to kiss her. So they tried like lover things. It's not what they both need. Because he was confused, he trying to kiss her like what people do in relationship, like boyfriend, girlfriend. And actually it also didn't work because she tried to stop him. And when they both start crying, actually they hug each other. And that what helps. And that was the end of that scene. So for me, it was the stages. They try to do lover things. It's not what they need. Relationship things. No, it's not what they need. Actually, they need their friend. It all sounds like a fairy tale thing ending, but actually, yeah, they just need like soulmate who will just understand you, not for sex, not for kissing, just to be around you, someone warm who you can hug. And actually, that's what she was missing all her life and all this movie. And even maybe it's already only in my head. But I also noticed every time when the Vanya was playing games, she trying to hug him, but he was continue playing. And it's just one of these scenes. So I seen a lot of, in the movie, I just can't remember exactly some of them. So I never saw that she feel comfortable with someone like with a friend and like with a soulmate. So it feels like only at the end, she finally found peace by that. So that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. That's what I saw.
All right, Kevin. It seems like you disagree with this, and let's hear your opinion. You disagree with us three, I guess.
No.
Okay.
I think my point back to the original statement about her being in a transactional relationship with this guy, and self-preservation being her absolute main goal, I think continues throughout this. I think as she sees the walls closing in, when she realizes these people are here for something serious, and you can't tell me that when she sees her new husband, quote unquote, run out the door in only his boxers and a bathrobe, that she doesn't know exactly the reality of the situation she's in. She can deny it.
She's smart enough to know, at that point.
She denies it. She's, oh, no, he's in love with me. He's in love with me. He'll come back for me. But
I think she wasn't wanting to fully believe it in her head.
Yeah, absolutely. But she knew in reality she had already committed
to disconnect there.
That. I think the scene where when Vanya asks her to marry, I feel like there's that like about 10 seconds where she legitimately like pauses and you go, what is in her head? It's my entire life is in this situation. She knows what you can't tell me that
she has her guard up though.
Well,
I think.
right. But I'm just saying, sure. But I'm just saying in her line of work, there's no way that any of her friends or people in that club have not done exactly what she's done. Find a rich guy who has pulled her away from the life. And she was married. And when the scene that she leaves the strip club and she's waving everyone goodbye and she's got her bag and she's saying, see you later. And they're all congratulating her. Like, you got it, girl. Like, congratulations, you got your whale. Like, that's a typical thing in that industry. And that's a goal that these girls are working towards one way or another. If you are in that position where you're stripping and hooking on the side and legitimately doing escort business, like that escape is the reality of what you're looking for. And this film, I feel like, and I mentioned it earlier about the slice of life being so slice of life, that's what this scene is. It's just like...
Don't you think she wants to believe it's real, though? I think the disconnect here is I think we all think she wants to believe it's real, but in the back of her head, she does kind of know when he runs away, oh shit, like, he might actually be a piece of shit. Yeah.
For me, she wants it to believe it's real because that's the paycheck. At no point in my belief does she have anything other than, how do I push this guy to give me more money? If I agree to marry him, I now somehow get half. The bargain she tries to make with the mom at the very end, like, I'm not getting in this plane, I'm taking you to a lawyer, I'm getting half. That's the last-ditch effort she has, and the first thing she thinks about probably when getting married. Like, at the very worst, if I say yes, I'm walking away from half. She just didn't bargain that Russian lady was literally going to threaten her family, her livelihood, and everything.
She realized when the parents were coming in, though, and I think in the back of her head, she realized, I have no way to fight these people.
And exactly.
And
it didn't. It took that development for her to realize it. On the surface, she was probably like, "This is everything I've ever dreamed of," and she thought it was real.
That's the thing is, I think the disconnect between us and what you're saying, though, is just I think she wants to believe that maybe he actually does love her, but. It's a nuanced conversation.
Exactly,
where,
and I love that though. That's okay. That's great.
For sure. It's there's a part of her that probably does believe, oh well, this is too good to be true, and then the other part, a little bit of her, because her whole life she's just been let down and disappointed. She thinks it's too good to be true, but then also thinks maybe this is actually real, and I can actually have some money and security in my life that I've never had.
Yeah.
But.
Maybe I'm just cynical. Who knows?
Well, okay, but so that last scene, though, do you kind of disagree that was her tough exterior breaking down, or?
No. So here's my comment on that. Yeah. The final 10 minutes of this film is the reason that it won an Oscar. It's the reason it won the Palme. It's the reason that this film is discussed, and the reason it is because it wrapped up a otherwise, for me, film that was a snuff film that had a little bit of softcore porn that was just kind of hard to watch, but then all of a sudden you get this meaningful ending that makes you think. And the Oscars has been,
I think snuff film's like a murder film though, but
I feel about snuff just like anything with porn, violent,
yeah, for sure,
whatever. And the Oscars has kind of been about this elevated theme of something bigger than the aspect of the film. And I think that's what Anora provides. It's that final wrap up goes, wait, we're going to now examine her entire life because she's, all right, on the surface, she gets a diamond that's worth several $1,000s and her brain goes, I need to exchange this money for sex. This man just gave me thousands of dollars. In return, I have to give him sex. In that transaction, he tries to kiss her. She has been trained her entire life to say, my clients can't kiss me. Every transaction, even probably when she's an escort, kissing is off the table. But in such a passionate moment, that's when they break down and he just holds her. It's Igor's character. I haven't mentioned it yet, but it's my absolute favorite thing about this film. From the moment he speaks, even in the very first interaction with her in the house, you know something is special or different about his character. You know that he is set aside from the typical Russian mobster, from even the daddy figure, whatever his name is, I don't even remember anymore. He was different, and I really, really like that. So he's my favorite character, and I think he applies into the end because of that. And it was actually, I loved the end. It was super great. It was powerful. It was meaningful. It was awkward, but it was great. And it's the only reason that I come away from this film actually feeling anything at all. So props to the ending.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a range of opinions there, but that's good. I like a range of opinions. So, all right. So let's finally rate this film. If you haven't listened to our podcast before, we usually give an A+ through F- rating. Alexey, why don't you start out? So just A+ top, F- bottom, and just give a brief explanation why you give the grade you give.
I think if the A+ is the maximum, so I think I will give A. Right. Mostly, I removed that plus mostly because of the mother, and in general because I think there's no movies which 100% great. Yeah, it's just impossible. But that was an amazing experience, which I enjoyed so much. That's why I agree with A.
Yeah. I'm going to go next, and I'll completely echo that. I think it's an A for me. I think on our A24 podcast, I've given Moonlight and Ex Machina, and actually First Reformed A+. So for even a Best Picture winner, I do still think this is like a step below Moonlight. I really enjoyed how this film is kind of a slice of life film that goes into a place that I never thought I would be, and that's Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, sex worker, like that whole scene. I never thought I would get a good deep dive into that in film, and I love the realism to it and kind of the portrayal of the class struggle of a sex worker. I really like the pacing of it in the middle. I really like how it speeds up and does this kind of New York fast style of editing, and then it really slows down at the end and gives you at least some kind of emotional touch point to take home. So I was, overall, thought it was good. I think my favorite film from last year was Sing Sing. When people say it didn't deserve to win Best Picture, I kind of disagree there. I mean, it's all up to your taste, obviously, but I do think it was one of the best films from last year. So I really enjoyed this, and Mikey Madison also, what an amazing performance. The fact that she's from California and did this Brooklyn accent, plus learned a little Russian, plus learned how to pole dance, all of it, really well done. So, A for me. Let's give it to Kevin next, and let's have Cole round us out in the end. So.
All right. I've said this a couple times, not even this podcast, but in general, that there is a possibility of a film being really well done while someone can watch it and not enjoy it. And that was me. I ended this film going that was hard to watch, but I'm going to digest it hard. I'm going to think about it and go from there. There's something about it, and I already touched on it, the slice of life aspect of this film, where there's quite literally scenes where people are just screaming. They're screaming, "Fuck you, motherfucker." They're screaming in Russian. They're screaming in English. There's just people yelling. You would expect that scene to happen in real life, though, if you have someone who's about to be abducted or kicked out of a house, or someone who's hungover or on drugs, or whatever this is, scenario might be. So the film did a great job of doing that. But if I'm sitting there and watching it, for me, my brain wasn't processing it well. I didn't really enjoy those moments because the scenes kept going, and it was yes, I understand you're looking for a Vanya. Trust me, you said a Vanya 25 times in the last 30 seconds. I don't need to hear it anymore, but that's what you would expect that scene to represent and be. But as a viewer, sometimes it got tiresome. So for me, I really didn't necessarily enjoy watching this film. I went in with an expectation that was high as hell. I knew it was the Oscar winner. I knew it was going to be this. And then when I watched it, it didn't live up to those expectations. And that is my preference only. Clearly, the Academy thought it was good enough. Clearly, the people on this podcast thought it was wonderful. But for me personally, it was not my cup of tea. And I think that's fair. I feel like there's okay criticism for film sometimes where it just goes, that wasn't what I'm looking for. But it's interesting because I enjoyed Florida Project. I enjoyed the realism of Florida Project, but the realism this film just left me going, ugh, I feel creepy. I feel weird. I feel like I just watched a softcore porn for the first 90 minutes of this film. There was so much tits. There was so much sex. And it just didn't necessarily accomplish anything after the first scene that it gave me. It's okay. It was a fine film for me. It's a B24. I'm going to leave it at that. I probably could give it less, but I'm going to go just say B24, good enough, not my cup of tea. Moving on.
All right, Cole, run us out.
All right. I love slice of life movies. I really enjoyed this one. I think Kevin, I do agree with like the first act and like the first part of this movie. Like going into it, that first 30 minutes, I was like, man, is this going to be like, you know, sex and, you know, ass and tits during the whole entire movie? Because this is getting a bit much. It's overstaying its welcome. But, you know, thankfully when it got into the second act and past that, it kind of slowed down and stopped. So I definitely could see some of the gratuitous at the beginning. Definitely makes it hard to watch. Definitely not one that I'm going to watch with a lot of family members or certain people. But definitely, I still love this movie. I really did like it. I also will say I felt like I got a little tainted when I heard about, you know, what Oscars it had won, hearing that it's, you know, the best picture of the year and finishing it. I left the movie thinking, I don't think this is the best picture of the year, but I don't know what movie is better than this. So I don't have a reason for it, right? Like I think it's very, very good. And it's still going to be in the A category. I give it an A-24. I really like this movie. I think I would recommend it to as many people as possible to go see it. I love the slice of life aspect. I mean, it deserved, I think it still deserved to win the Oscars and get all this buzz. And again, I can't talk about how great the, like, almost like all the side characters in this movie were so good. I loved all of the banter and the talk and just like the dialogue between everybody. And you know, you had your main actors, but just everybody else was so good and so well thought out. I do also agree with Lexi on the mother being just like stereotypical villain, like no really emotion or anything behind that. It's just like she's the bad person and then that's it. So, but otherwise, fantastic film. Definitely recommend people should see it, but A- for me.
All right. Well, that was our review of Anora. Up next, though, we do want to talk about Alexey Kotolevskiy's short film, One Night in Body Shop, and I'm going to give it over to Kevin here to kind of direct the conversation. Kevin, you take it away.
All right. I'm going to let Alexey talk a lot during this because this is his short film, his passion project. I met Alexey a couple of months ago when he debuted this short film with my good friend Chandra, who was part of the makeup for this film. Alexey brought it to our forefront, and Alexey and Chandra and many others were involved in this project, and I'd really like Alexey just to kind of give us the rundown. It is a short film that you can find on YouTube if you search One Night in Body Shop. And it is a really excellently put together film for a small amount of time. So Alexey, just kind of start us with where was your inspiration on this film? How did you come to start recording it? And just give us the 2 cents on One Night in Body Shop.
Okay, so first of all, I will share a little bit like story before that. Right now, I'm in the process of fighting for my green card. And that's why I need more media about me. I have a lot of good projects, but not so much media about me. And I just needed more awards, or awards also will help. That's why when I understood there is a chance to make the short movie with a team and with in a really cool place. So when everything showed me I have one chance to feel something, I have to do one chance to feel something. And if I will do it good, it will help me. If not, I will miss my chance. So I decided to spend maximum of time to use every minute of that movie to hide secret references, to show the background of the characters, like hide the reference to the literature which inspired me, which connected with a story there. So yeah, I tried to make maximum what I can for that amount of money, for that amount of time. And like, I don't want to say it was perfect. No, it's not perfect. There's a lot of things which I would love to change right now. But for that resources, I'm really proud of myself. And especially after the festivals when we got like about 7 awards, And one of them was for the best director, and one for best editing, and other smaller just best short movie, best horror movie. So cool. I like it. I enjoy I enjoy the result so much.
Yeah. When you talk about putting all your film and efforts into 15 minutes, that is an accomplishment on itself. Eric over here has also done some screenwriting and things like that. But Eric, what do you imagine trying to put your passions and thoughts into 15 minutes of media in general? Like, I feel like that's a pretty like a small sample of maybe what you're trying to do, but sometimes that's all you have.
Yeah. I guess basically, truncated is the right word. Is like you are trying to give somebody a full plot and an emotional arc, or just trying to show them something within 15 minutes or less. Sometimes it's even 2 minutes, but short films still do go by all the rules that a normal movie does, where you still need a story arc, you need some kind of character in it. Usually you just have to zap that down to 15 minutes or less. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. I think the rules for short films go all over the place there. I'm used to, lately I've been actually making more documentary type films, so a narrative like feature or a narrative short film, it's very impressive to do that within 15 minutes. And I'll just say it, I liked it a lot too. I really enjoyed how you mended all of these kind of genres together, where it is a horror film. I wanted to ask about the creature that was in the film. What was that inspired by? Because it kind of felt like an old, like, kind of folktale creature.
So first of all, I will comment a little bit what you said before, and then I will answer your questions. First of all, what you said about 15 minutes, that you have to put the same thing what you have to put in like full size of the movie. For example, for me, it was a goal even before I get the idea. Like I learned one thing, that the main character shouldn't be the same for the whole film. That's what I enjoy in any movie, that our feeling about the characters should change time to time. So maybe we agree with them, then we're thinking, oh, he's in danger, and then, oh my god, he's a motherfucker, I hate him. So please, let's enjoy how he will be dying right now. And then, oh, actually, he was a good all the time, and maybe at the end, no, he wasn't. So I really like that thing, and I decided, okay, I will write the script where all the audience always will be changing mind about the main character, and how to put it in 15 minutes, and they're like, okay, let's see it. So that's took me the most of the time of writing a script, how to create the story, where at first we confused about the character, then we worried about him that he got in a problem, then we enjoying that he got in a problem because we hate him, and then we're feeling, oh my god, that's all it was for that. Now we okay, we got it. Now, about the main. And you said mixing of genre.
The creature. Was that inspired from anywhere? Because it almost felt like an old, like, folktale kind of creature.
So that's why actually I'm not calling it like horror movie. For me, technically, we call it dark fairy tale. In jail, I like fairy tales. Even like my tattoos on me, they look like a fairy tales font from the Slavic books. And that's what I like. Usually, fairy tale, it's a story when we learn something. Because originally, fairy tale was made for children. Like, hey, don't go to the forest, otherwise you will get the problem. The child is going, getting problem. Yes, parents will save him. But explaining, hey, don't do that. And that's what fairy tales do. They teaching us how to avoid the problems. And that's kind of dark fairy tale, when everything not so bright. I combine different characters from my childhood books, and again, mostly fairy tales, and some Slavic creatures, demons. I decided not to choose something just some kind of witch. For example, she also have black fingers, and that's from more like European witch. Like, for example, in the Marvel comics, Scarlet Witch right now have black fingers, because that's how the dark magic is going. And it's also should remind a little bit of the Lovecraft style, because that's my favorite writer.
Yeah.
And even in my movie, I hide the references that actually all that story happening in the Lovecraft universe. So, like, it's again, it's like not necessary. It's not changing the script so much, but I just decided that it'll be cool, and it's showing that what I will use for inspiration also.
Yeah. And I'll give props to Chandra too. That makeup job was great. The makeup on the creature, that really sold me.
Our poor like actress Sadie, she was pink for the next 2 days, and she didn't even complain once about something. She spent the whole day, like 13 hours. So we decided to film everything which connecting with witch, we call her witch, in the one day. So she spent 13 hours in that red makeup.
Wow.
And said nothing.
Dang.
She was just, yes, I'm ready. You don't need me? Okay, I'm here smoking. Just tell me when should I act.
And
Hell
Alexey,
yeah.
anything else about the filming process in general that made it feel more realistic, more authentic? Kind of like, what was your experience with truly making this an indie film from start to finish?
Okay, so first of all, I when I just realized that I have an opportunity to use the whole body shop to film something there, and I can use anything, any space, any part of it. I was like, ooh, it's like I'm sitting in like I was closing in a toy store. Like, ooh, I can do anything. Let's think with idea. And immediately I decided that there is a lot of places where actually they always alive, like airports or hospital. It's a big place where always something happening, and the body shop is one of them. People running, their cars going, it's always loud. And I imagine how cool it will be if such a place where people can't imagine be quiet, actually become quiet, and the one person will stuck there. And they're like, oh, interesting, let's think about that situation. And I start, so when I just realized I have that opportunity, I start jumping from that, and I start writing a script about the person who locked in the body shop. Why he cannot go, and what's keep him there. So that's how it started. And about filming process, so we just had 2 days in body shop, and in the movie, like no spoilers right now, sometimes we see kind of the flashbacks. And the flashbacks was filmed in another day, of course, in another place. But the problem is that during the movie, we're jumping from there to there, to there, to there. And our character is changing. So he is not just like illusionally there. Technically, it's like kind of teleportation. So if he have a like wound in his face at the beginning, and then he going to that illusion, it should stay and even should start bleeding. So we had the full
continuity.
Yeah, and we have
Love
no
that.
chance to make the mistake. That's why we have some kind of the map of the wounds and how clothes is changing, how it's getting dirtier and dirtier. So to do it first time in body shop scene, and next day we have to film the same stage by stage and repeating how my character is changing. That was difficult.
Yeah, especially when you're filming it on such a small amount of time and you have to make those advances throughout.
Yes,
know.
because
And
like I
you
said,
can't go
that
back,
bar shop
right?
is really busy. So we just had the half of the Saturday and the full Sunday. That's why I was filming until like the morning, until the sunset, until the night. So at Sunday we're filming until 2 a.m. and coming back home, fall asleep, because tomorrow we have to go to Lacrosse from Chicago. If I would be the big director and producer, I would prefer to rent that body shop for like 5 days.
But that's fascinating, right? If you think about it from a indie filmmaker perspective versus what would happen if you were given the support of a big studio or a big
also
company.
One of my plans how to get closer to the studios to show, look, that's what I filmed with that budget. Give me a little bit more and I'll
Imagine what
bring
I
you
had with
money.
this.
Just give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of success stories in Hollywood about things like that. Just someone getting a chance, just someone bringing their viewpoint to life, and you never know what happens. So, again, folks, if you haven't had an opportunity, go ahead and look up One Night in Body Shop on YouTube.
It's worth it.
It's really
Yeah.
good.
It's I was very impressed. It was
It's
for
literally
15
quite
minute,
a short, dark
amazing.
fairy tale. 15 minutes. Alexey also has a black and white version of it, which I got an opportunity to see when he released it
That's pretty cool.
at a little film. What do you even call that, Alexey? We were at our friend's house and we had some whiskey and we
just call it like
It was
there's
fun.
a 80s version and 20s version. Like I said again, using my previous experience, it will be better to film it not in a style of modern movies, but in a style of 80s. So there is a lot of like grain and scratches and more like naive music, more sometimes the editing with like, it looks funny in a good way. I also decide like if we will do mistakes, it will be easier to hide them if I will say it's a style of 80s. It's it's a style, not a mistake. But during the film, I realized that we have first time I have so good equipment, 8K, and I can play with that. Like I can do anything what I want. And I thought I will like an experiment. I will make the version, like I said, of 20s. Black and white and with a 4:3 like a lighthouse style, just to intrigue people, I thought I will post it in YouTube and say, if you want to see the original movie, go please to my festivals. That will be cool. But when I start making it, I realized that I have so many opportunities to play with composition. Because now it's a 8K and 4:3, you have so much extra space and then you can put the frame exactly how you want it.
I know that feeling, brother.
Yeah. So before, of course, I draw the storyboard, but it's wasn't like 100% film as a storyboard. And especially because I playing the main character, I have to run from the set and then look to the cameras and back all the time. So it's impossible to control it for 100%.
For our listeners who don't know, Alexey not only wrote and directed this, but he also was the main character in the film as well.
I like to act, but in general, I'm not the actor. I prefer to be director, storyboarder, and other. So that's why also I decided to make the script where the character, it's like me from another dimension. So actually, I wasn't acting a lot. I was just playing myself in a really bad mood. And using my own experiences in breaking heart. Of course, I'm a Russian artist. We all have a breaking heart. And
Heartbreaking.
yeah. And in the movie, there's a lot of connection with mom. And of course, my mom is extremely different from the character of moms of my character in the movie. But I also, because of the war, I can't visit Russia and my mom there. I haven't seen her for more than 3 years. So that's why I'm using, feeling of missing my mom to put inside of that character who also have a different, like not complicated situation with his mom. So yeah, trying to use a real experience to put it there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Are you working on another project, Alexey? Do you have something else in mind for your next work?
Yes, actually. So I have like several short comic books. Also like I'm not sure how to explain them. It's like 10 pages short comic books about, I don't know how to explain the situation, about something what we can meet every day. So it's not about the aliens, not about the future, not about the ghosts. It's like something monster which you can meet in your bathroom. Or story about the soup which you bought from the Chinatown, put in the freezer, and somehow it start mutating. So really, really familiar situations for
Everyday
me,
life.
where everyone can associate yourself and feel like, oh my god, that could happen with me today, right now.
Yes.
And I have 4 stories. I really hope that I will find the story number 5 to try to print it like a book, because it will be 50 pages comic books. It will be cool. So one of the story, it's extremely creepy, about the about your neighbor which living in front of your apartment, and he's making the sculpture of the Asian god made of the human parts.
I love that.
And because he's
awesome.
in love in her, and that god is her. So yeah, story like that. And I hope
you got some plans. I love that. Well, before we leave, guys, do you have anything, Eric or Cole, you want to comment on One Night in Body Shop? Anything else you want to leave our guests before Alexey signs us off for the night?
It was awesome. I really, really liked it. I thought it was extremely impressive. Like the cinematography and like the dialogue and just the story and like the amount of stuff you packed into 15 minutes was very impressive. And it, like you talked about with like only shooting in essentially 3 days, and you don't have the luxury of, you're doing these jumps between things, and you talk about the different makeup, and you have to make sure the continuity stays the same, and you don't have the luxury of shooting, the scene in the body shop, and then you go shoot the scene in the bedroom, and then you go back to the body shop, right? You had to do it all at once and make sure that you had everything planned out, and you nailed it, man. Like, it's awesome. I'm very, very impressed.
Yeah, for my 2 cents, Alexey, I really enjoyed it when you first showed it to me and the group of friends when we were all together. I told you during the viewing that I immediately wanted to come on this podcast and have an opportunity to talk about it because I felt that passionately about that. I think I can speak for all of us. We're excited to see where you go, where you continue to make film and content, and we really appreciate the time that you've given to us in this podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll link the YouTube video in the podcast episode description too, so people can click right on it.
Anything last moment that you wanted to share with the folks before we sign off for the night?
I just want to say how I love A24 Studio and how important what you guys doing. I will explain about one thing. Like I said, I moved to Chicago and I'm missing New York so much. In New York, I have a huge collection of the action figures, toys, and the props from the movie. So I can't take anything with me because it's huge collections. It's extremely heavy. So I was able to have just 2 things. One I took for myself. It's a tiny Thor's hammer. Because when I'm just not sure that I will come back to New York, I have to lift it to feel that I'm still worthy.
I love that.
And the main
Nice.
one, which I loved so much, it's a full-size replica of the mermaid from The Lighthouse.
Oh, awesome.
Favorite
awesome.
A24 movie. So yeah, please,
Yeah, that's
guys,
awesome.
watch more A24 and tell people more about that films.
Amen.
We're
Hell yeah,
definitely doing
man.
that, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. And yeah, like I said, I will put Alexey's short film in the podcast description, so make sure to watch that. Please rate our podcast 5 stars on whatever podcatcher that you listen on. And have a good night, everybody. Thank you for listening.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.